Good morning, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Sunday, November 6th, around 1 p.m. Mountain Time 2022. Don't miss the total lunar eclipse coming up in just, 36 hours. We'll have more on that in a bit. Looks like the number of deaths from natural disasters has plummeted hundreds of percent since the 1920s. But the big story, tropical disturbance takes aim at Florida, the same regions hard hit from Ian. Keep calm. It's boom time. Heavy rain and Sierra snow to start the work week. So heads up, the Pacific Northwest getting battered right now. And that means that mountain passes could remain closed for the rest of the season. So read the article if you live near Highway 449, 59, 108, and 120. Now, drivers ignoring chain requirements spin out and force the closure of I-90 over Snoqualmie Pass. Good reason to close some of these passes because people don't know how to act in the snow. Ho, ho, ho. Death Valley gets rain on November 3rd for the first time in more than 100 years. How you like them apples? And they say there's a drought. Now, let's talk about the tropical disturbance and coming towards Florida right now. There's an 80% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours. This baby is going to be hooking up and then back down based on the current spaghetti models. Just one model out currently, and there'll be more, so follow the channel. Tomorrow we'll have a better idea in pinpointing where this actually is coming in. This point would be just north of West Palm, so heads up there. Here we're looking at the latest GFS model run, and it's appearing to make landfall as a Cat 1 north of West Palm in this mock-up. And then it doesn't make it to the Gulf here. It kind of comes over to the Tampa, Fort Myers area here that just got hit and then goes back across the state, same path Ian left. So could be some devastating flooding. Only 4 inches predicted for most of the state, but that could bring already swollen rivers up. And here you can see the highest wind speed, 50, 60 miles per hour. That's 64 miles per hour. That's just a strong tropical storm. You need to hit 74 to be Cat 1 in the Saffir-Simpson, but these models could change. So we're keeping a close eye on that. Let's look at the whole country as a whole. You can see that tropical system moving in there with that huge atmospheric river coming in the Pacific Northwest. Going to be dumping heavy snow on the Sierras here Monday. That will be your fun day. And Al Gore is hiding in his hole. Take a look at that. And then it's going to really explode over the upper plains here. Look at that. The northern plains could see blizzard conditions here Friday, November 11th. Let's take a look at some of the snowfall totals. Why not? And you can see that heavy swath coming through the northern plains there with up to 2 or 3 feet of snow predicted for Thursday and Friday, the end of next week. But take a look at the Sierras. Holy macaroni, 4 to 5 feet of snow going to be dumping in just the next few days. Most of that snow in the Sierras is going to be coming Monday and Tuesday into Wednesday. Look at that. 3-day boom in the Sierras. We'll get a little clipper down here in the Four Corners, and most of the Rockies will be hit as the snow models are looking pretty good across the country. Unsettled weather across the west. Strong winds for the northern plains. Warm over the east. Now widespread rain and heavy high elevation snow will continue across much of the Pacific Northwest into the Cascades and Sierras through Wednesday. Elsewhere, strong winds will impact the northern plains today, while record warmth persists over the east till Monday. A subtropical or tropical depression may form over the southwest Atlantic during the next few days and affect Florida. But these models could change, so stay tuned for the latest updates. Now, a strong earthquake was felt in southern Missouri Saturday, and it was felt by many, and it was just about 100 miles from the New Madrid fault there. Right there is the quake in question, M3.2, 10 kilometers north of Van Buren, Missouri. So heads up, got some activity near the New Madrid. We also have lots of activity happening in Hawaii. Overall, there are no major quakes of note. So let's move in to the Hawaiian Islands here and see what's going on today. In the last 24 hours, we do have some activity in Mauna Loa, in Kilauea, and in Pahala. So heads up. Still rumbling going, nothing showing imminent signs of eruption, and we're keeping a close eye on it for you. Space weather news update, all is quiet on the sun. Several spots peppering the sun, but very little activity coming from them, which is good news for us here on the surface. And you can see geomagnetic field has gone to KP0 in the last 6 hours, so very low levels of intensity. Now, it wasn't so much like that 21 years ago. A severe geomagnetic storm occurred, and it could happen again and soon. 21 years ago today, a full halo, CME, struck Earth's magnetic field, sparking a severe G4 class geomagnetic storm. Skies over Central Europe glowed bright red and violet, recalls Heiko Ulbricht, who photographed the display from Saxony, Germany on the 6th of November, 2001. Very eerie. The shock front hit Earth's magnetic field at 2 a.m. CET. Good timing for skywatchers in Europe, says Ulbricht. From there, auroras spread around the world, descending as far south as Florida, Texas, and California in the United States, and the storm persisted for 24 hours. The CME left the sun 2 days earlier, and it was propelled by just an X1 class solar flare from sunspot active region 9684. The SOHO chronograph imaged of the CME were quickly overwhelmed by a snowstorm, and we knew that this would be a big one. There's the spot. So you can see what a big sunspot in the position during the CME. You can see the full halo. That means it's coming right at Earth. And it certainly did. This kind of explosion that produced the storm is interestingly not rare. The young solar cycle 25, where we've only been in for a few years, has already produced 8 similar X flares. Now, none of the related CMEs from these X flares were directed at Earth, however, so we're just waiting for one more boom for the skies to glow. Now the plot thickens. New study reveals complex identity of ancient Britons. Do these bones and teeth found in Sussex share characteristics with Neanderthal fossils from northern Spain? These are, in fact, the oldest human fossils ever found on British soil, excavated 30 years ago at Boxgrove in West Sussex. The leg bone and teeth of an early human species were dated to about 500 million years old. These are none other than Homo heidelbergensis. Fascinating study there. All links will be below. Fascinating story coming out of Al Jazeera. What the latest IPCC science says about climate change. Well, it's a bunch of lies. First of all, take a look at the nuclear power plant cooling towers in the back. This is steam. So, very weird photo they use here, but I do digress. There is a science report that came out, and last year's report unequivocally stated that humans are to blame for rising temperatures. And that is unequivocally false. There's not a single paper, peer-reviewed, that determines that that is the case in all of the literature. It also warned that climate change was dangerously close to spinning out of control. What does that even mean? That like one more diesel truck driving one more mile will end humanity? I doubt it. There is times in the past where we have reached tipping points and temperature has fluctuated as much as 30 degrees in 1,000 years. So none of the fluctuations we're seeing is anything close to spinning out of control or even relating to, let's say, the warming at the beginning of the Holocene. And then they go on to lie even more. Once rare weather extremes are becoming more common. No, they're not. Only your fake data, cherry-picked, shows that. And we'll point that out in a minute here. It's just all nonsense here. So I implore you to come over and read the article if you want to bone up on nonsense. First, let's talk about nuclear and why we're not using it. Well, because it's the most efficient. Nuclear power plants produce no greenhouse gases. Isn't that what they want? Why aren't they going all nuclear? So let me repeat that. Nuclear power plants produce no greenhouse gas emissions during operation and over the course of the entire life cycle. Not only that, nuclear produces the same amount of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions per unit of electricity as wind, and 1/3 of the emissions per unit of electricity when compared with solar. That has to do with the manufacturing process of all the things you need. Now let's talk about natural disasters. You're looking at them all going back to the 1900s. And you can clearly see that in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, there were millions of deaths at that time from natural disasters. And that has decreased dramatically. Now, what the IPCC and the UN do is they start their data in 1980 here, where they can show a rising trend because they're frauds. And here you can see, again, annual death rate per 100,000 from natural catastrophes, including volcanoes, wildfires, flood, extreme temperatures, earthquakes, epidemic, drought, storms. It's been a radical decrease, not an increase. So, case closed. Now, don't miss it. The total lunar eclipse and Leonid meteor showers. We just had a torrid bolide come in. We'll get to some of that. And that happened the other day, and it might have lit a guy's house on fire. Now, during a total lunar eclipse, the moon goes all red. And here we can see the map of where totality will be visible from the East Coast all the way across the US, and even parts of China and Russia, Kamchatka, all the way up through Alaska. So totality will be in this region. And I think for the Four Corners region here, it's about 2 a.m. to go out and look up. But if you find this, you can watch these videos and determine when totality will be for you. Now, the Leonid meteor shower is active through November, and it peaks between midnight and dawn on the 18th. So 2 cool things happening. The coolest, obviously, being the total lunar eclipse. But not to be undone, a torrid fireball flew over Northern California Friday night, and more are expected. A lot of people saw this baby coming down, and this video can't be played, but this one can.
It's quiet here in this secluded area of Nevada County.
People around here are multi-generational cattle farmers or ranchers.
Rolling hills where cattle graze, where nothing happens.
Heard a big bang. I started to smell smoke, and I went onto my porch, and it was completely engulfed in flames.
Until Friday night.
Wide open spaces. This was out on kind of a farm, cattle ranch area, and yeah, not much around it.
It appears this bright ball of light, which lit up the dark Northern California sky around 7:30, landed in the middle of nowhere. What do you think hit your house?
They said it was a meteor. I've always watched meteor showers and stuff as a kid, but I definitely didn't look forward to them landing in my yard or through my roof.
I did not see what it was, but from everybody I talked to, it was a flaming ball falling from the sky and landed in that general area.
The Penn Valley Fire Department, along with CAL FIRE, battled the flames for hours.
This is just amazing that that happened. Now, according to the article, there is a 1 in 4 trillion chance that this could possibly happen, that a meteorite could hit a house, and it certainly did. So this fella says he's going to maybe go out and buy a lottery ticket, and it's a good time to do that. Powerball jackpot is the largest jackpot in recorded history for any drawing in any lottery ever. $1.9 billion. And someone out there that wins could, let's say, buy YouTube and fix the algorithm, perhaps. Now, one other thing before we finish up, please check us out on Twitter. Since the acquisition by Elon Musk, we've gone up hundreds of followers in days. We were stuck at 3,600 for years. So things are happening on Twitter. And if you want to stay up to speed and you're using the Twit box, you can find Oppenheimer Ranch at Diamond the Dave. That's at Diamond the Dave. And that's a boom to knowledge. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Thanks to each and every one of you that watches this video. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and share this video. Be a hero. We love you. You can also become a Patreon, support the work we do, and watch all of our videos commercial free. Be safe. And that's a boom.